let's take a look at the fixtures between now and the end of the season, if we may. Now, Mike, I want you to jump in real quickly on the fixtures, if that's okay with you, because I want to see where you think that maybe Arsenal could slip up between now. Obviously, we recognise that they're not all easy games here. Away to Newcastle, home to Chelsea. I mean, this is a tough run in here for Gunners.
Yeah, I'm keeping my eye on that Newcastle match. I've been there as a United fan, suffering that blow, the 2-0 blow. I think that is a trap game, and do not sleep on Brighton. Watch them at the FA Cup. Those two back-to-back matchups, those are tricky coming off the heels of City. Chelsea at home, I think they'll blow passing to Chelsea. Sorry, Vic, have been that bad throughout this season. But those two matches, circle them on the calendar for Arsenal fans. You are going to be sweating through the course of both 90 minutes.
James, you want to react to that real quickly?
Yeah, no, I agree with a lot of what Mike's saying. The one thing I would say about that Newcastle game, the fact that it was by far and away Arsenal's worst night of last season when they lost 2-0 and everything fell apart and they blew top four. I think Mikel Arteta has proven he's a coach that gets reactions in circumstances like that. So that's why I've got the win at Newcastle. But I think that will be followed by a defeat to Brighton, because Brighton will have a lot to play for. They're an excellent team, and Arsenal aren't quite perfect. And so that's kind of how I ended up on my 88 points, and I know what's coming. But I mean, yeah, like Mike says, I think you can write in Chelsea as 3 points, and it really could, even if they get a good result, it could all come down to the Newcastle and Brighton games.
Nigel, as you can tell, I clearly don't have much faith in the way Arsenal finish the season. What are your thoughts on the way they'll finish? You've got that.
No, honestly, I think for me, like the Newcastle and the Brighton one will be the two stickiest and toughest ones. I think Newcastle's emphatic win against Tottenham has taken them to another level in confidence and belief, and they will want to finish the season strong. Coming up against Arsenal, I think that's just going to be going to St. James's Park, especially how they're feeling now. Wow, talk about atmosphere. It's going to be absolutely a big problem. And I think you got to give credit to Joe Linton and what's his other? I see so many footballers. I have to remember the names of it.
Callum Wilson.
Escapes me. No, not Callum Wilson.
Jacob Murphy. Joe Willock.
No, the other one. Guimaraes. Sorry, Guimaraes.
Oh, yeah,
Guimaraes.
Yeah, so you got to look at them two right now. They're playing sensational. I love the pairing of them in midfield and how they play. It just reminds me a bit of old school. Like one man does the defending job, the other one gets forward. It's just great to watch. And Brighton, they're one of the best teams to watch in the Premier League. I think anyone who really is a real football fan, I don't care what team you support, you have to say Brighton have been one of the best teams this year in the Premier League to watch. The style of football play, the excitement. If they had a striker, Brighton would finish top four this season. If they had a real clinical striker, Brighton would have finished top four.
I just want to point out a comment from Vic, who I don't often agree with, but I do in regards to Ian's predictions here. I'm looking at Ian, and Vic has really hit the nail on the head here. He's got Chelsea scoring 2 goals. I can't believe anyone could predict Chelsea to score 2 goals the rest of this whole season, let alone in one game at the Emirates. No chance.
Yes, but James, on the other hand, Rafa's jumped in, and Rafa's just said, I'm with Ian. They're dropping points in almost every single game. Appreciate you, Rafa. Thanks for tuning in.
Well, Ian, how funny would it be, though, if Aubameyang actually gets the start for Chelsea?
He would love that.
That'd be massive.
He hasn't played for 12 months.
It's Arsenal's own teammate. He could stuff it to Arteta, really and truly. And I wouldn't be surprised if Frank does that just out of reverse psychology. And starts him and Aubameyang scores. That would be fun.
Yeah. I mean, it would be funny. It would be, well, probably not for Gunners fans, but it would definitely be an interesting story. That's for sure. Let's turn our attention to Manchester City between now and the end of the season. Obviously, I want to just basically kind of point out that Manchester City are the team to beat. So when you look at my predictions, you can understand why. But Mike, I'm going to come to you first here because you've got them finishing with the least amount of points here from all of us.
Yeah, I looked at the schedule, and given their run in Europe, this is assuming that they get past Real Madrid and get to the Champions League final, assuming that they did what they did at the weekend, get to the FA Cup final. They have a game pretty much every 3, 4, sometimes 5 days. And they have the depth, but they will continue to play. They have to play Erling Haaland, Kevin De Bruyne, their best 11 against Real Madrid. They will continue to see the wear and tear of that starting 11 going down to the wire. And I could just see the Brighton game, the Brentford game, I could see those as trap games, especially that Brentford game. They already slipped up against Brentford at home. I just wonder if that's the game where we look at and say, okay, they just got over the line in the end.
James, your thoughts on these predictions here? I'll run them through. Total points, James has 90, Fabrizio has 92, JJ has 92, I have 92, 94 for Nigel, and Michael with 89. James, your overall thoughts?
I think Mike's really hit the nail on the head there, and it's basically just what you think the trap games are going to be. And I don't know what it is about Sean Dyche that has convinced me that his team will, possibly by putting all 11 players in the goal net, will simply not concede against Man City. That aside, like I do agree with Mike that it might be, there might be some hard games in there, but also it's City, and I mean I've got them dropping 4 points between. I mean, we say that Mike's been harsh. He's got them dropping 5 points between now and the end of the season. I've got them dropping 4. Like, you know, and these are the
Japes.
Ludicrous.
Nigel.
Mate, I just can't see it. I see a focused City. I just can't see it. I see a focused City. You look at their run-ins. There ain't really. I'll probably say one of the most difficult games might be Brighton, might be Brentford. But let's realize this from a tactical standpoint. This isn't the City of old, of Pep Guardiola with his false nine and no one that's an aerial threat. This is an evolution of City where no matter how many people they put behind the ball, they can change and mix their game up and get the ball out wide. Kevin De Bruyne looks up and whips a ball in for an Erling Haaland coming in with a header. That's the different tactics that they can do in all these fixtures. And as much as Sean Dyche might try and frustrate them, you're not going to be able to defend great crosses, well, world-class crosses from a Kevin De Bruyne finding Erling Haaland. And it's just a different City you're facing now. You don't have to worry about this false nine and this repetitiveness of system play. Erling Haaland gives them that X factor. I feel there's more real banana slips in Arsenal's fixtures, and also because of their current run of form, there's that fragileness in the mentality creeping in at Arsenal.
All right, let's have a look at our predictions. Obviously, as you gather from the points that we put out there, sorry to all the listeners there, I didn't mention the points for the Arsenal rundown. But the Premier League title predictions from every single one of us, James, Fabrizio, JJ, myself, Nigel, and Mike, Manchester City across the board. James, you really believe that?
Yeah, 100%. I think if anything, I might have been a bit generous to Arsenal. I think the bigger question is sort of like, what was it ever possible? Like, you know, are the standards that City have set, and we have to say the standards that City have set with the backing of a oil superpower, were they ever achievable for this Arsenal team? And I think that's kind of where I fall down on the side of no. You know, the Southampton result was a really bad one, but before then it felt like the title was slipping away. And it felt like that because they drew at Anfield and drew at West Ham. Now, not the West Ham of seasons gone by, but still I remember, and Nigel, I have no doubt it was the same when you were playing in the Premier League. Absolutely no, the team that was top of the table, absolutely no problem getting a point at Anfield, no problem getting a point at West Ham, and you could still win the league. You know, draws are the new defeats in the Premier League right now. Yeah. City have set a level that is unachievable. Your only hope of winning the Premier League title is that Man City have an off year. Arsenal's only hope is that Pep Guardiola retires. That's the impossible level that they've set right now.
I think quickly, let me jump in. I'll just say I agree, but I just think that for me, it's the fact of City have built something. I think we need to give credit to Mikel Arteta, what he's done at Arsenal. And if he's given more time and more resources, give him another year or two, Arsenal could be on the same level as City. If they can really get the right players in, the recruiting has been great. The problem why Arsenal haven't been in this situation for so long time is because the recruiting has been so poor. Lack of direction, lack of real football knowledge. Arteta's installed all of this. Give him another year or two. He can build something like what Manchester City have, where Arsenal have a tremendous squad to compete on all levels. So everything takes time. That's just the reality. Not every club or manager is going to give you time. The only club that's beyond the club that's an establishment is Real Madrid, where they already do their own recruiting. You come in and manage. But other clubs could be built like this.
Yeah, we also have to keep in mind, just very quick for me, a big reason why we saw reverse and kind of detriment to Arsenal and depreciation, they've sold their best players over the last 15 years. That is not what the Arsenal, the title challengers, were doing. They were retaining best players. They had a core. Now they have it again. Yeah, now they have it again with a core of young players who are Arsenal through and through, adding talent bit by bit. They did it in the transfer window. I cannot wait to see them now take the next step, regardless of what they do in the Premier League run-in. I cannot wait to talk about them. I cannot wait to see them next season in the Champions League, and we'll be able to do that here on House of Champions.